Hi, I'm Mike Gooden, Reduced Risk Retirement Solutions here, where by now you probably know I'm a certified financial fiduciary with 20 years of experience in helping people keep their money, grow their money, pass their money to their heirs. In this video, I want to talk about something very important for people that are very close to retirement, entering retirement, or in the early stages of retirement, and that is called sequence of return risk. You may have heard the phrase before. We're going to do a deep dive into sequence of return risk because it is the danger that poor investment returns early in retirement combined with taking withdrawals will deplete your savings faster than expected, even if average returns are good over the long term. This happens because early losses reduce the capital available for future growth. In this industry, it's actually common knowledge, and a lot of people don't talk about it, and I don't know why. But when you are using a retirement account that collects compound interest in some way, because of the way compound interest works, when you have a loss and you're missing dollars in that compound interest account to grow, well, when things start doing well again, it takes a 14% gain just to get back to even for every 10% loss that one experiences in a retirement account. So this is pretty important stuff because it makes it harder for the portfolio to recover and provide income for a 23 to 30-year retirement. So it's a critical risk for retirees as they can't rely on new contributions and have less time to recoup losses. So we're going to do kind of an apples to apples comparison here between Mr. Pink, who's going to put $1 million into a managed account where he's paying a financial advisor 1% annually out of his account to manage that account. And I don't even factor the 1% annual fees into Mr. Pink's ledger here. And we're going to compare that with Mrs. Green, who takes the same $1 million and puts it into a principal protected equity indexed annuity. And year one, they both get a 15% gain, which gives them both $1,150,000. And they both take 4% in income because they want to stick to that 4% rule so they have something to pass on to their heirs. And they both have $1,104,000 to grow in year two, and they get a 5% gain this year, giving them $1,159,200. And they both take the 4% again, and they both have $1,112,832 to grow in year three. So far, so good. But in year three, we have a year very similar to 2022, where stocks and bond portfolios go down 20%, leaving Mr. Pink at a 20% loss and $890,266 before he takes his income for year four. And Mrs. Green loses nothing as she's in a principal protected equity indexed account. So Mr. Pink needs to take 5% in income this year in order to pay his bills, leaving him $845,753 to grow in year four. Mrs. Green takes 4% income, which oddly enough is the exact same amount in dollars as Mr. Pink got, but it leaves her with $1,068,319 to grow in year four. So again, Mr. Pink had to take 1% extra in income to pay his bills. Mrs. Green took 4% and has $222,576 more dollars to grow in year four, where, yay, they both get a 20%. Both get a 20% gain. And I did that specifically on purpose to demonstrate a very important point here. So Mr. Pink gets 20%. He's up to $1,014,902. Mrs. Green gets the same gain and is up to $1,281,982. Mr. Pink takes 4% in income. He's trying to stick to that rule so he can have something to leave behind to his heirs. And Mrs. Green takes 4% income. She gets almost $11,000 more in income, and she has significantly more to grow in year 5. I wonder what she did with that income. She probably went on a nice vacation or something. Who knows? Riverboat through the trips of Northern Europe. That sounds fun. I'm sure you could do that for $11,000. Because Mrs. Green used a principal protected equity indexed annuity, she enjoys both higher income and a higher ledger balance, which is more money to grow. And because Mr. Pink was missing dollars to grow this year, he gets less income and still has much less to grow. In fact, after taking income in year 3, Mr. Pink needed a 51.5% gain just to get even with Mrs. Green. That is a big ouch. Year 5, a little bit more modest. They both get an 8% gain, which gives Mr. Pink $1,052,250 and Mrs. Green $1,329,159. Mr. Pink has to take 5% in income this year because he has bills to pay. We've all seen the type of inflation that we've been experiencing over the past 6 years here. Things do not get cheaper as we get older. Nothing does. The chair I'm sitting in, the computer I'm using, none of it gets cheaper. So Mr. Pink has to take 5%, which is $52,612, leaving him $999,638 to grow in year 6. And Mrs. Green is able to stay at 4% income again, which gives her $53,166 and $1,272,725 to grow in year 6. Year 6, they both receive a 12% gain, putting Mr. Pink up at $1,119,594 and Mrs. Green $1,425,452. These get to be a little bit of a tongue twister when you're going through all these numbers so quick. So Mr. Pink, again, has to take 5% income, which gives him $55,979 and $1,063,615 to grow in year 7. Mrs. Green takes 4% income again, which is $57,018. And she still has $1,368,000 and change to grow in year 7. So still more income and more to grow. Year 7 is a good year. They both get a 17% gain this year, giving Mr. Pink $1,244,229 and Mrs. Green $1,601,000 and change for that year. And they both take 4% income, which gives Mr. Pink $49,769,000 compared to Mrs. Green's $64,042. Again, almost a $15,000 difference, about $14,500 in difference. So Mrs. Green enjoys more income and still has more to grow. And, Mr. Pink could have taken 5% in income again, but then he would have even less to grow, even less to pass on to his heirs. He's trying not to do that. Year 8, they both get a 6% gain. And that gives Mr. Pink $1,266,000 and change to grow, and Mrs. Green $1,629,000 and change to grow. They both take 4% income. And again, Mrs. Green almost $15,000 more in income and still has significantly more money to grow in year 9. Year 9, they both get a 12% loss. So this is not a good year, but they don't both get a 12% loss. Mrs. Green loses 0 because, of course, she's using a principal protected equity indexed annuity account. So Mr. Pink loses 12%. Mrs. Green does not. Mr. Pink drops to $1,069,625. Mrs. Green still has all of her money from the previous year, $1,564,077. Mr. Pink needs to take 5% income this year in order to pay his bills, which gives him $53,481 in income and $1,016,144 to grow in year 10. Mrs. Green takes 4% income, which is $9,000 more than Mr. Pink got that year, and still has close to $500,000 more dollars to grow in year 10. So a big deal. You see how these losses can really affect the income and the principal balance in a retirement portfolio. Year 10, a little bit more modest, they get a 3% gain, which gives Mr. Pink $1,046,628 and Mrs. Green $1,546,456. Mr. Pink has to take 5% income again, and Mrs. Green takes 4%. Mr. Pink gets $52,331 and $994,297 to grow in year 11. Mrs. Green has $61,858 in income and $1,484,598 to grow in year 11. Again, 9,000 more in income for Mrs. Green and still almost 500,000 more to grow. Year 11, they both get a 14% gain, which puts Mr. Pink at $1,133,498 and Mrs. Green at $1,692,441. Sadly, Mr. Pink and Mrs. Green both pass away in December of year 11. So let's look at the totals. Because Mrs. Green never lost money out of her equity indexed, principal protected annuity in years that the brokerage account did, yet enjoyed all the gains of a brokerage account thanks to proper indexing, she got $59,782 more in income over 10 years. She had 558,943 more left to her heirs. So total income plus what was left to the estate over the 10-year period, Mr. Pink was at $1,625,692 and Mrs. Green at $2,244,417 for the totals. That's a total of $618,725 more dollars for Mrs. Green and her heirs. Now, it's important to explain that when you're using an indexed annuity versus a brokerage or a managed account, it's not always in every year going to be dollars to dollars gains and losses. For example, in 2022, when the vast majority of managed advisory accounts, AUM, financial advisor accounts, lost anywhere in the neighborhood of 14 to 22%. I have annuity clients that, because they're using certain types of indexes that tracked an index for 2 years or maybe 3 years, I have clients that got 10, 12, 15% gain in that year, where all brokerage accounts lost, like I said, probably 15 to 22%. So it's over time is how these things pans out in equal. And also, again, I want to reiterate that I did not factor the 1% annual fee that Mr. Pink was paying his advisor to manage his funds, even though he lost money. I'm not really sure how people can call themselves a fiduciary when they can lose 22%, 15%, or in the case of 2008, when my dad was 70 years old, lost 45% of everything that he had ever saved for retirement. It was criminal, quite frankly, if you ask me. But what happened? Was anybody held accountable? Were any of those financial advisors held accountable? No. They just said, "Oh, yep, sorry, lost 45% of everything you ever saved. Bummer." So again, what does reduced risk do? How do we help? We are an independent broker. We are not allegiant to any one company. We work for our clients as a fiduciary and not any insurance company. Our job is to find the right principal protected equity indexed annuity for your specific situation, circumstances, and goals. And then every year we're going to meet, review the indexing options. And if there are new or better performing indexes to allocate funds to, that's what we'll do. Finally, we act as an advocate on our client's behalf. If the insurance carrier is not holding up with their end of the bargain, we deal with them. We yell at them on your behalf to straighten things out. So go to our website, give us a call, 707-888-5723. Website, www.reducedrisk.biz. You can schedule appointments straight from our website, or just send me an email, mgooden@reducedrisk.biz, and we'll get you on the schedule, and we'll see what we can do for you.